Good morning and welcome to Morning Java here on DK Pittsburgh Sports. I'm Matt Grubba alongside Matt Sunday. Two Matts in action today.
Two Matts. That's like Matt, little carrot with like a two of
Yeah, a little bonus for you. But Matt Sunday, of course, is just back from Philadelphia yesterday where he was taking in Game 3 of the Penguins win. So, Matt, what was that like?
Temporarily, man. We're headed back out on the road later today. It's a quick little turnaround, but the Penguins decided to come back and practice here this morning. And, of course, Chris Bradford's going to be on the scene there before we hit the road. Philadelphia was a much different experience than I thought. Even Chris Bradford, who's from out that way, was, prepping me for the worst. He said, "Don't wear that hat. Don't wear that hat." Like, I wore the hat.
I mean, so, they booed Santa there. I mean,
they booed Santa. I mean, there's a lot of nastiness that goes on out there. Everybody's seen the video of, the guy antagonizing the Giants fan walking down the street and then just kind of cold cocks him. I didn't see any anger towards fans that wasn't just playful, "Oh, Sidney Crosby," like kind of fake washing people's faces as they walk through the mezzanine level. And fans were able to stand and cheer kind of as they wanted to, and as the Penguins scored as they wanted to.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say with the Penguins, sort of taking control of that game too. Did it take the crowd out of it a little bit too?
I think we'll see tomorrow, but I think that if it's a closer game, which probably have to assume
we're due for one, right?
Yes. If it's a closer game, if there's any type of fighting going on the ice, if that kind of stuff happens, I'm anxious to see how the crowd responds and how the interactions then between the Flyers fans and the Penguins fans are, because really most of the hatred was directed towards Sidney Crosby. I don't think that they had much room for hating Penguins fans there.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see, depending on how Game 4 goes, if the Pens can jump out again, it could not only take them out for that game, but for the series, and it'll be, the start will probably be the important part of that Game 4, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. It was in Game 3. Matt Murray made the really big save on Nolan Patrick, a glove save on a breakaway, and really I thought that set the tone and allowed the Penguins to score at will the rest of the game, as they probably should have in Game 2 as well. But if there's ever a game, now Derek Brassard played a really good game. He scored a goal. If there's ever a game that this team wishes they still had Ryan Reeves on the ice, it's going to be this Game 4 in Philly. Reeves has been scratched for Vegas. I'm not saying that he should be here and playing, but if there's ever a game, it's going to be this one.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll talk more about that in just a sec, too. And we're talking still about the Penguins and looking forward now to Game 4 back in Philly tomorrow night. So, Matt, what you mentioned if there's a game the Penguins could use a guy like Ryan Reeves, that sort of thing. Do you think that Philly will maybe try to set a physical tone in Game 4, because that really hasn't been their nature this year, not like Flyers teams we're used to?
No, it hasn't. But this series has definitely been escalating in that chippy department. If you read the 3 views from ice level, I detailed kind of an exchange between Chris Letang and Sean Couturier. When Couturier kind of ended up giving him a jab to the face, Chris Letang comes back, tries to knock the bucket off of him, and then he gave him the good old cup check, made sure that he could still have kids in the future. So. There's been some escalating interactions between the two teams. Nothing's really led up to a fight quite yet, or anything like that. But the physicality has been there. It's not even as much in the hitting department. Although Riley Sheahan did lay a pretty nice hit on Manning of his own. And if there's going to be a game, though, it's going to be this one.
Yeah, and do you think, too, that it's one of those things where the physicality level's at the level where the Penguins like it, and it's going to have to be the Flyers that escalate it? Because obviously if the Flyers have the upper hand, they're looking at a 2-2 series and nobody's going to want to do something stupid. Yeah,
right now I think the physicality is at a point where the Penguins are comfortable with it. I think anything beyond this, that's when we start to see when Evgeny Malkin even starts doing a little bit extra. He's already been a little too engaged with the stick and with the face washes. Sidney Crosby's been more physical. And that's something that, even though it's nice to see your captain go out there and try and lay some hits, he's got to stay away from that, just stay healthy. He's got 7 points in 3 games. So the Penguins just need to stick to their game plan. But this this might be the last chance for the Flyers to impress on their fans, and it might be the last time for the fans to impress on the Flyers this season.
Yeah.
So both of those are going to play off of each other. It's the last chance for them possibly to go out and cheer on their team. So if they're loud and boisterous, the team's going to react to that as well.
Yeah, when do you guys head out back to Philly?
It's still kind of up in the air. I'm hoping that I get a chance to meet up with a buddy out there and have dinner. So I might head out on my own before Chris and DK. But once Chris is finished up with practice, I guess we'll know a little bit more.
Yeah, and then so Wednesday, you, DK, Chris, Bradford, all out there. All the coverage you're going to need from Wednesday night's Game 4. Philly, Pittsburgh, it's what we love in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, it's everything. Well, we're here still with Morning Java, the Matt Squared team here. While I was in Philly, though, and I didn't have a chance to join you on Saturday, you were covering Pitt's spring game.
Yeah.
So now we've had a lot of news on the Pitt basketball front, but football season's sneaking up on us.
Yeah, and you know what? It was a good environment for the spring game, a good spring game in area number 1. No injuries, nothing bad coming from it. Kind of a dull game if you like offense, because the defense has really dominated the day. I think that was a byproduct, one, of Pitt's defense is going to be much improved this year. You know, pretty much everybody in the front 7 is back from a year ago. But also the way they divided up the teams, you've got makeshift offensive lines, so you had, 1s and 2s mixed together. You had even some guys getting in because they made sure to get everybody in the game as well. So you had some third-string guys. Just it made for some misblocking assignments. The quarterbacks were under pressure a lot, so didn't lend itself necessarily to a great offensive day. But the one big takeaway is that the players really liked getting out and just having a chance to go and play in front of the fans. There weren't too many tricks or anything in the playbook. It was just old-fashioned football, in front of a crowd.
Yeah, these guys always talk about that, right? We want to get back out in front of the fans. We're tired of playing for each other. That's why programs have started to do the open practices in different camp locations, not necessarily at their home base. But I know you talked about a little bit about linebacker depth and some competition for those depth positions, but was there ever a feeling of competitiveness? Because now when these guys draft up a team, it's a little bit different than just kind of assigning guys that are going out there and competing for the same position. You've got guys who picked each other who they want to compete.
Right, and they are. I mean, they're college athletes. They're competitive. 18 to 22-year-old guys, and the coaching staff, puts the prize out there of a steak and lobster dinner for the winning team, cooked by the staff over at Pitt at their facility, which hey, that'd make me excited to do something for a free dinner like that. But those guys, especially the way it is a spring game, so you have, a set sort of script how they wanted to do the first half, get guys in the game, get the reps with people, and then started the second half. You got, your third quarterback in for a little bit. You get some different, backups in. But as the game got to the fourth quarter, it's a 3-3 game. The starters went back in. Kenny Pickett goes back in the game, that sort of thing. And, they were playing to win. I mean, both teams were out there to make plays, and it turned out to be Dane Jackson, the junior cornerback, that makes the biggest play of the game. Kenny Pickett had been marching the gold team down the field, sideline patterns, preserve clock, try to get in range just for a winning field goal. It was tied 3-3. And Jackson just, a great play, anticipates the throw going outside. He sort of baited Pickett into it, broke up on it, and showed the speed to just pull away from everybody 60 yards for what was the only touchdown of the game.
Now, one thing you mentioned about before the game was actually that Capel, the new basketball coach, he's out there. He's part of the honorary coin toss there. Right. Now, he doesn't really have a team right now. He's still waiting for guys to commit or leave.
Slowly coming
kind
together.
Of like a half-cooked turkey. He's got to get that thing back in the oven. But what's the news coming from the basketball front? Are any of those guys looking like they might stay in?
Yeah, well, I'll just sort of sidetrack. Last thing on the football game, you talk about Jeff Capel being there. It was a really nice way that Pitt did it. You also had the honorary coaches on the sidelines for the two teams. Walt Harris, who was the Panthers coach during the
Might have heard of him.
Larry Fitzgerald, he was last coach to take them to what was then a BCS Bowl and the Fiesta Bowl. And then on the other side, you had Johnny Majors, of course, the coach of the '76 championship team, flew back from his home in Tennessee to come back for the game. So that was real nice to see. But you talk about Capel being out there. He's really been enjoying this time getting acclimated in the city of Pittsburgh. But he's also getting to the point where he wants to get out recruiting, and he's made that known that his remaining guys that have not made decisions on whether they're staying or going. Still have Marcus Carr, Ryan Luther, waiting to, are they staying? Are they going to transfer? Jeff Capel needs to know what his scholarship count is. He needs to know what positions necessarily, because Luther's a post guy, Carr's a point guard, so he needs to know what holes he needs to fill for this next season coming up. Whether it's going to be bringing a one-year grad transfer or whether it's going to be going long-term. So these decisions need to come soon, and he's getting kind of anxious and getting them.
I can imagine. That guy's used to winning, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
So, Matt, I wasn't able to join you at the Pitt spring game, but I was able to join you for a half Saturday night as part of your doubleheader. Came over to see the Riverhounds take on Ottawa, and I stayed for the first half. There were no goals scored. The Riverhounds now the last remaining team to not give up a goal.
Right.
But I missed the big explosive offensive outburst from Toby there in the second half. What happened?
You missed a few outbursts in the second half. The game got pretty chippy there for a minute.
I saw that. I was actually watching the stream on ESPN Plus. I had to activate my my free trial.
Yeah,
for
Ben
that,
Zemansky from the Hounds and Christian Portillo from Ottawa got tangled up there in a moment where, frankly, a scary moment because the way it played out, if the referee had gone for a red card, I don't know that either team would have really been able to argue with it. But, both players stay on the field, so we did, 11 on 11 going through. And, it was another game where the Hounds were in control all the way through, which, for fans, that's a sight they haven't seen. Even in 2015, when their last playoff season, those were a lot of end-to-end games, not ones where the Hounds were truly in control. So, good thing to see. But then, Toby Adewale, the big defender, second-year pro from George Washington, a Maryland native.
Hair.
He was just the man on the spot. It was a long developing play, a corner kick that got cleared, came back. Finally, the Hounds get it to the middle, and here he is. He had been pushed up to get his height in there. He goes about 6'1", 6'2", just eyeball. I don't know what they listed on the roster, but they get him up there. He's right in the spot. Kevin Kerr sends a low cross in. He just gets enough of a foot on it to direct it in the net. What a way to get your first professional goal.
No, I'm watching this. We're riding in the car, and I see Adewale get his foot on it, get the goal, and he barely got a flick on it, but it was nice.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see these center backs able to just they're so used to being able to redirect the ball either to their keeper or to one of their fullbacks that sometimes they can get that little nick on it and send it in for the goal there.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, too. Toby said after the game that he spent his offseason, playing a fair share of just sort of pickup games, that sort of thing, and playing more of a forward midfield type role just to get more touches on the ball, just develop that part of his game. And while that's not the same as playing, in a professional environment, that sort of thing, it's something to say that, the defenders have to be able to hold their own if they find themselves in that position where they have to get up into the attack. You can't just be, especially the way that the USL, the quality has gone from, 5 years ago to today. You used to be able to get away with having center backs that were just sort of big brutes to knock guys around. And, these guys have to be just as skilled with their feet as the other 7-8 guys in the forward and midfield.
Yeah, but it's pretty fair to say, too, that a number of center backs have played like a target role at some point in their career, right? Or late in the game, they're pushing forward. The Hounds went to 3 in the back. You don't like to see yourself, taking a center back out of that position for a prolonged period of time. But like you said, they covered well and they were able to convert.
Yeah, it's all about height. The Hounds don't have a ton of it, but he's one guy that does. He got up there. You've got Mohamed Dabo, who's a solid holding midfielder, but only goes about my height, about 5'7". So you want guys in there to be able to mix it up, and it worked out. That's the kind of team win that the Hounds are looking for, and now they get a chance to go on the road at Cincinnati this weekend, a game that's going to be on TV locally on CW, so fans here will be able to get to see it. And go for 5 in a row unbeaten to start the season. That's something the Hounds have not done in a long, long time.
No, it'll be fun to watch. The other thing to be fun to watch, you're 5'7", I'm 6'4". Who wins the header there? You guys can let us know in the comments. Thanks for joining us on Morning Java.